Be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. Do the same with the Grizzly Gentleman, 10% off at checkout on your fantastic beard products. Or you could shop via the TCG Player affiliate link in the description down below to help support the show. And last but of course not least, you can go to Grey Viking Games with the affiliate link below to pillage some sweet arena codes. What is up, Planeswalkers? Theurg 6 back with some more Kaldheim preview spoiler season discussion. I'm very much looking forward to getting into some deck building for Historic. The Standard, a little bit. I mean, obviously the Early Access event, which I don't actually know if technically I'm confirmed going to be on, is essentially Standard only. But I'm definitely going to make some Standard decks as well. I'm too bright. The white balance on my camera is trash right now. Anyway, let's just hop in. Emerstrom Skullcairn. This is a land that enters taps for a black, or 1 black double red, tap, sack it, deals 3 damage to target player. That player discards a card. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery. So this is very comparable to Ramunap Ruins, in that it's a land that can deal damage, and it's a reasonable rate, right? Ramunap Ruins was, I think 2 red. I can literally just look it up though. Run. I want to say it was 2 red. Yeah, 2 red, sack a desert, deal 2 damage to each opponent. So that doesn't target. This does. This can hit yourself if you want to. But this can only sacrifice itself. Ramunap Ramunap Ruins allows you to sack any desert for what it's worth. There's the Scorching Desert or something, that one that enters and deals 1 to an opponent. That has seen play from time to time. But this one you have the sack itself. But you're getting more damage out of it, and you're getting discard. You essentially have stapled a Blightning onto a land. Or does Blightning make them discard too? I don't remember. Whatever. You stapled an effect like that onto a land. And, besides this coming in tapped, because Ramunap, remember, doesn't come in tapped. You have to pay life if you want to use their red, but typically that's not something that matters. So this does come in tapped. That's the one issue against this card. If you're looking at playing a black-red discard or burn deck, or even just aggro deck, frankly, this is definitely a card that is something that's worth considering. This is one that you have to activate as a sorcery. You don't see that with Ramunap Ruins. That said, Ramunap Ruins was banned in Standard at one point. This is probably not going to be banned in Standard. However, I do suspect that it's still possibly playable. For Standard, it really depends on what else can be put around it. But when you look at something like Historic, this is also just as long as the fact that it enters tapped doesn't hurt the deck too much. This is just a card that is reach, and you don't have to dedicate a real card to it. So I like it. I think it's cool. The Blood Sky Massacre is a 3-mana saga. It's Rakdos. First chapter, create a 2/3 red demon berserker creature token with menace. 3 mana for a 2/3 with menace. Yeah, it's fine. It's kind of on right. But second chapter, whenever a berserker attacks this turn, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. What's really nice is the fact that the berserker has 3 toughness as well as menace. It means that you don't have to worry as much about it attacking. You are a little bit more comfortable in the idea that this creature either can't be blocked or at least won't. No, it will die if it gets double blocked, but it's less likely to just die and not get you the value. So even just drawing a single card off of this is great, because you've spent 1 card to get functionally 2 cards. You do lose a life, but who cares? Third chapter, add red for each berserker you control. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. At this point, we've seen a lot of cards that have that add mana that you don't lose as steps and phases end, and I gotta say, I love it. I think it's an interesting way to add a little bit more of this kind of floating mana effects to other cards. It gives you more notches, more knobs to turn to make a card stronger or weaker. So I just appreciate that fact. As for this, the whether or not it gets played is entirely based on the meme Menace deck, if you can play that Historic. The Berserker deck, if that's worth running this. Black-Red is, I wouldn't be surprised if Black-Red's an aggro deck in Standard. Whether or not it's specifically a Berserker aggro deck remains to be seen just yet. And even if it is, whether or not this card will be in that deck also remains to be seen. I do like it, though. Bergi, God of Storytelling, is a 3-mana 3/3 god. Whenever you cast a spell, add red. Until end of your turn, you don't lose mana, blah, blah, blah. Creatures you control can boast twice during each of your turns rather than once. So this is very interesting, because this seemingly is good for a boast deck. Whenever you cast a spell, you add a red. What that screams is Storm, to me. Now, it adds red, and typically... Oh, God. I was going to say, typically, you're not going to be, like, drawing cards. With blue, you can become card positive. However, in Historic right now, I'm actually going to go ahead and check something very quickly, hopefully. Text, draw a card. We're going to do red, and we're going to do legal in Historic, and we're going to do seems equal to 1. All right. How many cards? This doesn't count. This counts. This has to, your opponent has to have a creature, but this counts. So unfortunately, there aren't as many as I thought there might have been. But still, right, you can see some sort of strange situation in which you have not necessarily a combo deck, because we don't have Storm, we don't have things like that. I mean, we have 1,000-Year Storm, but at that point, you're going too far in the jank. But I'm hoping that I'm at least kind of hinting at the ideas that you can use Bergi for. Is her name really Bergi? There's no way I'm saying that correctly. The fact that she can make your things boast twice is cool, but the boast costs have to be really good for that. On our flip side, Harnfell Horn of Bounty is a 5-mana legendary artifact. Discard a card. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. So, essentially what you're saying is, if I play Bergi, and then I play Harnfell, what I do is I cast a red card, which gives me a red mana, and then, let's say, with that card, I drew a land. So I'm going to go ahead and discard a land. Remember, I still have a 1 mana in my mana pool. I get to exile 2 cards. One of those cards is going to be a red cantrip. I'm going to cast that red cantrip using that 1 red mana. I'm going to get that mana back and draw another card. Maybe it's a land, who knows. I still have that 1 card in exile. I haven't even talked about that. We're going to go discard that card. Exile tap 2. This card, this has potential for some nonsense stuff, and I'm here for it because the thing is, it has potential. But the thing is, it's reasonably costed. Like, this is costed probably fairly, which means it's probably not going to be good enough. Port of Corville. This is a land. This is the Dimir version of the tap lands that are tapped. Tapped out of blue. Or 3 blue, dub black, tap sack it, mill 4 cards, then return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Tapped. This didn't catch tapped, apparently. But yes, it comes in tapped. But you could do it at instant speed. A land that can just reanimate for you, in colors that reanimate, and it's not targeted. Like, okay, there's so many things going for this card. Yes, it is a 7 mana, because you have to tap this to use it. A 7 mana reanimation spell. But it's not a spell. This doesn't count against the spells in your deck. This can be a land that you're running. And it's not something that you're necessarily going to be banking on all the time. Right? This is just a little extra thing that's harder to deal with than someone, countering Unburial Rites, right? Things like that. It mills you 4, so you're more likely to hit something if, like, you're in a weird situation. You're up against aggro and you sided in your Massacre Worms. You're like, I'm going to die here if I don't get this Massacre Worm out, or even Massacre Girl, let's say. So even though it comes in tapped, who cares? If you get this card out, you're going to be able to at least kill a large number of your creatures, of your opponent's creatures. So, you can sack it, even if the worm that you need is not in there. You get to mill 4. And the last thing is, because it doesn't target, it means that you can get cards from that mill. But more importantly, it means that your opponent can't force you to whiff, unless of course you only have 1 creature in your graveyard. For example, if I have 2 Massacre Worms in my graveyard and my opponent has a Cling to Dust, I'm going to be able to get if they can only cast the Cling to Dust once, come on, guys. I'm going to be able to get one of my worms. If it's a target, after I choose the targets, my opponent would be able to, okay, in response, I Cling to Dust, you don't get the worm. But because of the way it is, your opponent can Cling to Dust one of your worms, you can choose the other one. And that's just fantastic. I love this card. I'm going to play in reanimation. Demonic Gifts is a 2-mana black instant until end of turn. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains when this creature dies, return to the battlefield under your control. We've seen a lot of these effects. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much limited cards. Target creature gets +2. It's a combat trick, and it seems fine. We've seen these effects a lot. Skull Raid is a 4-mana black sorcery with Foretell 2. Target opponent discards 2 cards. If fewer than 2 cards were discarded this way, you draw cards equal to the difference. This card is fantastic in specifically discard-centric decks. One of the biggest issues with discard decks is that at a certain point, if you've done your job, your opponent and you are both top decking. Because the idea of a discard deck is you force your opponent to discard all of their cards, and then they're going to be in top deck mode. The issue is that if they're in top deck mode, the discard spells that you draw are now bad, because it's not going to affect what they're doing, right? They're going to cast whatever they draw, most likely. So just, top decking that additional Thoughtseize is worthless. With Skull Raid, though, if you top deck this, you cast it, it becomes a very expensive draw spell, but it's still a draw spell. And whenever you need to have them discard, you get to make them discard. And the amount you draw is based on the difference. This card could have just said, like, if it could just say, like, if no cards were discarded this way, draw a card, right? This could have been worse in a number of ways, but allows you to draw the difference. And it specifically points out that it's based on the amount discarded this way, and you draw the difference, right? So there are times when your opponent has, maybe they have 2 cards in hand, they have some mana. You cast a discard spell that makes them discard 2, let's just say Mind Rot, classical example. They cast one of those cards. Well, you still get to discard one of their cards, but your Mind Rot has become a very expensive Thoughtseize, essentially. With Skull Raid, you don't have to worry. Even if they don't have the cards, by the time you resolve the spell, you're going to get something out of it. You're going to get 2 cards worth, regardless. Is this going to see play anywhere besides that? I don't think so. But in kind of the mass discard Davriel, Liliana style, Waste Not Even decks, this is going to be fantastic. Especially if, let's say, you're on turn 3. Right, you're on turn 3, you don't have Davriel, but you do have an additional Thoughtseize. Maybe turn 1 was 1 mana discard spell. Turn 2 was Rat. Turn 3, you don't have one of your big 3s. You have this, you have another 1 mana discard spell. You make them discard again, you foretell Skull Raid. At some later point, depending on what the rest of your hand looks like, what the rest of the game plan looks like, you can either cast it for pretty cheap, or you can wait. You can draw cards. I love this card. It's cool. Jarl of the Forsaken is a 4-mana 3/2 zombie cleric. It's black with flash. It's a black cleric with flash. Foretell 2. When Jarl of the Forsaken enters the battlefield, destroy target creature or planeswalker that an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. It's cool that hits planeswalkers. I know there's a recent one. I mean, this type of effect is pretty common. Typically, they're going to be black cards. With flash around 3 to 5 CMC, and they usually just care about things that have been dealt damage. They're pretty common. This is just that plus set mechanic. I don't recall if many of them have Destroy a Planeswalker, so that's cool, but other than limited, no. Emerstrom Raider is a 2-mana 2/1 Demon Berserker. We've seen 2-mana 2/1 stats in various situations, as I've said in a previous video. When it enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. This card is similar to Rix Modi something. Is it even Rix Modi something? I don't remember. The Rakdos card that had Showtime? No. It was like Showtime. No, that's not. Spectacle. The one that had Spectacle is like 2 mana, 2/2. It has like Spectacle 4 or something like that, blah, blah, blah. It's similar to that. What's cool about this card is that it's a relatively inexpensive Demon Berserker that can fix your draws. If you have too many lands, but you have Emerstrom Raider, you can get rid of one of those lands, dig a little bit deeper in the deck. If you're on curve, you kept a 2-lander maybe. You do have another 2-drop even, or like you just want to get to 3. You can get rid of one of your more expensive cards in order to draw another land potentially. So it's very interesting. My main thing is that we're getting, like, the fact that we're getting cheap demons makes me think that maybe Liliana's contract is going to be actually a hilariously fine deck. Just rack those contract. Because the thing is, like, with that deck, before you had to make it as a combo deck. Here you can make it as more of a mid-range aggressive deck that happens to have a card that, for what it's worth, 5 mana is a lot for a deck like that wants to be an aggressive mid-range deck. But still, it refills your hand. You don't really care about the life loss all that much because you're meant to be you're the one who's pressuring. And then you can just win out of nowhere, which is just hilarious. Dream Devourer, which I swear I talked about already, but my brain is broken. 2 mana, 0/3 Demon Cleric. Now here, this is the card that's going to make those decks good. Each non-land card in your hand without Foretell has Foretell. Its Foretell cost is equal to its mana cost reduced by 2 generic. You can't... If, for example, you were trying to foretell another Dream Devourer, it would still cost a single black to cast, to do the foretell part. It doesn't reduce non-generic mana is what I'm saying. I guess if there's something that you have that costs 2 mana, though, you can pay 2 mana and then foretell it for free later on. That is something that you can do. Whenever you foretell a card, Dream Devourer gets +2/+0 until end of turn. I mean, that's extra stuff, but, like, honestly, I feel like the place this goes is just, like, weird combo decks to just make things cheaper. Because if you think about it, right, like, you play this on turn 2. On turn 3, you play removal or something like that, followed with foretelling Liliana's contract, which costs 5. The next turn 4, you can cast Liliana's contract and play maybe another demon, right? A differently named demon. You can play another removal spell. You can do a whole host of things. So that's why I'm thinking that, like, if that deck exists, this is probably going to be a core component of it. Righteous Valkyrie. It's a 3 mana 2/4 Angel Cleric, just flying. Whenever another Angel or Cleric enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. As long as you have at least 7 life more than your starting life total, creatures you control get +2/+2. So we've seen this 7 life more thing on the 1 mana 1/1 who makes 4/4s. You all know who I'm talking about. I can't remember the damn card's name. We've seen that, and it appears that maybe that's where Wizards is deciding this is the correct balance point, right? We want people to have more life than their starting life total, but for the general population of cards, 7 life more, probably fine. Creatures you control get +2/+2. That includes this. So if you're at, I don't know, 37, this is a 4/6 for 3 mana, which is not bad. Your other creatures are larger, cool. This is both an angel and a cleric, so it triggers off of your other angels and clerics. Notably, if you cast this into casting another one of these, you're going to gain 4 life, which is half of the extra life potentially that you need to go over. A lot of the cards in the life gain deck are already angels or clerics. The one that spits out angels is a cleric, and he makes angels. Fun fact. I want to say the Sarah Ascendant is an angel or a cleric as well. I want to say that Sarah Ascendant is a cleric, but that might be a monk. Sarah Ascendant. It's a monk. Awkward, but eh. And I'm pretty sure the Ajani's Primate's a soldier. Is it though? Edge. Right. Is a soldier. Okay, that's what I thought. But still, a lot of the cards that you're playing in there anyway are going to be angels, clerics. You can modify the deck so that it's not as bursty. Like, you could You could take out the Ajani's Pridemates, focus more on the Angel aspect, and yeah, I just think it's a cool style of deck. Doomscar. 5 mana. Foretell 3, 1, dub white. Sorcery, destroy all creatures. This card seems very good. Its Foretell is on rate. However, a 3 mana board wipe is good because it means that you can do other things alongside it. I expect to see this played alongside Wrath of God. I don't think this is going to completely replace it. It might even be that Doomscar is played as a one-of, right? I don't know. I can't see the fucking future. I can't foretell. That said, I mean, this might just help against the Burning Tree Emissary style decks, right? Like, if you know you're playing against the Burning Tree Emissary deck, you foretell this on turn 2, and you kill their board on turn 3. The saddest thing is based on the number of emissaries. It could still be too late. Yeah, this card feels very strong. I just don't know if it'll... for standard, sure. Whatever. I just don't know if it is good enough to beat Wrath of God. Chill out. Pillar of... I mean, this is glass, but this seems like detention. Ice prison pillar. That's my guess. I don't. This is Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese, obviously. It's a 3 mana blue snow artifact with snow tap target artifact or creature. I mean, I know this effect is good and limited, but I don't think that it's going to be good anywhere else. Invoke the Divine is a reprint. I just wanted to show you the art because it is sick. The freaking angel just being like, nah, you guys are cowards. This art is very interesting. It's a mono black card that's entirely gold, and I'm fairly certain this, drown. Yeah, this person is underwater, but it's not blue, it's gold. Absolutely love it. 1 mana, sorcery. As an additional cost to cast the spell, exile a creature card from your graveyard. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. I don't like this card. We have Disfigure, which is less, one less, -1/-1. Disfigure. The thing is, Disfigure is an instant, and it doesn't require you to exile a thing. This requires you to exile a creature. For that reason, I'm out. It's, like, the -3/-3 is nice, but, like, I'd rather just play Disfigure. I mean, I'd rather just play, if it's Sorcery Spin, I'd rather just play Bloodchief's Thirst. Orvar, the All Form. This card is immediately going into my Lovecraftian themed deck. Are you kidding me? This thing is horrifying. It is a 4 mana, blue 3/3 shapeshifter with Changeling. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets one or more other permanents you control, create a token that's a copy of one of those permanents. Whenever a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard this card, create a token that is a copy of target permanent. Not target permanent you control. You get, if your opponent somehow forces you to discard Orvar, you get to just make a copy of a thing. Anything. Your opponent's land, your opponent's Planeswalker, Planeswalker. Of course, if you make a copy of your own Planeswalker, then that leads to other issues, but that's not my problem to deal with. You cast an instant sorcery if it targets one of your own things. So, I'm trying to think of an instant sorcery that you might want to target. I can't think of very many things where you, like, target your own, like, Planeswalker. I mean, one stupid thing you could do is like you can use a Planeswalker's ability and then target it with like a kill spell if you really needed its ability again. It's super weird, but it is an option. This art is sweet. Shackles of Treachery is a 3-mana sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature until end of turn. It gains haste, and whenever this creature deals damage, destroy target equipment attached to it. This is the Act of Treason style effect. Oftentimes you will. I don't know if I should say oftentimes, but sometimes you see some extra stuff attached to it. This just means that you get to blow up equipment attached to it. Surprisingly, this doesn't hit auras, and that is likely because it's a red card. Red's not really allowed to destroy enchantments. It can force other people to sacrifice for them and whatnot, but it's not allowed to directly destroy enchantments. I don't know how much. I'm trying to think of how many of the gods are equipment as well, but I mean, I'm sure it's fine and limited. Brian Barrow Intruder is a 1-mana 1/2 human rogue with flash. When it enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-0 until end of turn. I hate this card because it's a rogue. It is mono blue and it has flash. Craven Hulk. I love this card. This is probably one of my most favorite cards printed in a while. It's a 4-mana 4/4 giant coward. Craven Hulk can't block alone. The flavor text, perfect. The art, literally, the mountain here. Goat. This is the giant. Big fire giant. Here's his right hand. Here's his left hand. Here's his head, eyes. Big fire giant. Coward. I love this card. It's not good. It's not like a good card, but I do love it. The first snowman. This is not the name of this. is a Simic 2-mana enchantment saga. First chapter, mill 3 cards. Second chapter, return up to 2 snow permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Third chapter, choose up to 3 cards in each graveyard. Their owner shuffle those cards into their libraries. Choose up to 3 cards in each graveyard. Okay, so I think that you can technically get 6 total. So it seems like this is supposed to be like a snow help style thing. The issue is like, this isn't snow itself. And like in the snow decks, I assume you're going to want to run as few non-snow permanents as possible. So, seems bad. Resplendent Marshal. Oh my goodness. It's a mythic and it's white. Is it good or bad? Let's find out. 3-mana, white, 3/3 Angel Warrior with flying. When it enters the battlefield or dies, you may exile another creature card from your graveyard. When you do, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, other than Resplendent Marshal, that shares a creature type with the exiled card. The card is bad. When I say bad, I don't mean like it's garbage. 3-mana, 3/3 flyer, like sure, probably fine. Like it's like by definition fine. Why is this card a mythic? And why does it have so many restrictions? It can't make itself bigger. Okay, that's the first thing. You have to exile a creature, and the only people that get the buffs are things that share the creature type with the exiled card. Why does this card have so many hoops? This card could have just said, when it enters the battlefield or dies, you may exile another card from your graveyard. Keep a creature card. Sure, that's a part of the set's theme. I don't know. Sure, whatever. Exile a creature card. When you do, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Full stop. That's it. Oh, I also forgot. You may exile another creature card from your graveyard. You can't even exile it itself. If this dies while you have no creature cards in your graveyard, whoop-de-doo, your team doesn't get buffed. How is this card a mythic? I would like to know. How is this card a mythic? It's technically not complex. This is not really a complex card. If anything, the complexity it has makes it worse. Like, make it more simple, make it a rare. Why is this a mythic? Why is this a white mythic? In fact, you know what? No. Ongoing. We're checking some things. Yeah. Sort by rarity. Let's sort by rarity here. Hopefully mythics are gonna be at the top. No, I need to do some very quick comparisons, because this is redonkulous. Blue mythic, take an extra turn. I'm not gonna count like the gods. Green mythic, for what it's worth, this is potentially Garbo, but you get draw great stats and draw. Black mythic literally tutors. Black mythic, this, okay, sure, okay. Another black, I have to talk about that. Red mythic, potentially broken as hell. I've seen what this card can do in EDH. Potentially broken as hell. Simic mythic, this one's fine. That's fine. This card, incredibly interesting. If nothing else, like, this is mythic because it's very interesting. This is mythic because it's very interesting. This card is very strong. This card is garbage. This card is probably garbage. It could be good, but it's probably garbage. This is flavorful, has a bunch of awesome text on it, blah, blah, blah. Why are these white mythics? I'm so mad. I legit didn't read this card until like just now. So when I was saying like, let's find out if it's bad, I was legit. This card's bad, right? Like, it's a 3-mana 3/3 flyer. Sure, that's fine, right? We have like an no, she's a rare, but we have a rare 3-mana 2/4 that doesn't have nearly as many issues with it. It has upside. This is all upside. Literally all upside. No contingencies except like the 7 life or more, but that's literally a part of this style of design. Upside. Just straight up upside. Why? Why? I ask again, why? Startime Torture. It's a 3-mana 2/2 with flying. Artifact and enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Very cool. I mean, it's a wind drake with upside. And there are a decent number of artifacts and enchantments in the set because of the gods. So, sure. It's cool. Great Hall of Starnheim is a black... It's a land, and it's tapped. Can tap for black. Or, dub white, black, tap, sack it, Starnheim, and sack it, and a creature you control. Create a 4/4 white angel warrior creature token with flying and vigilance. Activate this ability only any time you can cast a sorcery. So not only do you have to sacrifice itself, you have to sacrifice another thing. None of the other lands did that. None of them. And all you get out of it is a 4/4 flying vigilance angel. Now, yes, a flying vigilance angel staple to a land would be very strong. Do not get me wrong there. You can only activate it as anytime this could be a sorcery, which means you can't use a creature that was going to die anyway. At the very least, if this just said, like, during your turn, you could potentially sack a creature that was going to die anyway. You can't do that. You have to literally lose a card. You have to lose 2 cards to get a token. None of the other of these cards, of these other lands, do that. I understand this is technically an Orzhov card. This is the double white activation one so for all intents and purposes, this card is bad because of the whiteness. Now you could say, like, well, if they didn't force you to sack a creature, like, how this effect would be black? Easy. Pay a little bit of life. I'll accept paying life, but you have to lose a card. I mean, technically it could be a token, but, like, at that point, like, still, you're losing board presence to get board presence? Like, even if you sack a 1/1 or a 0/1, like, you're not really making your board that much better, especially considering the fact that you had to have a 0/1 or a 1/1 at some point in your deck. Why? Like, why? Like, seriously, why? You compare this to the black one. Reach and forces discard. You look at the white-blue one. You literally draw cards. And you gain some life. Just incidentally, you gain some life. You look at the Dimir one. You get to put stuff into your graveyard and then potentially use that stuff to reanimate something. There's no requirements of that thing. It's not reanimate a creature or a creature that's CMC 3 or less. It's reanimate a thing. Sure, it comes in tapped. You can do it at instant speed. You can't do this at instant speed. You can do this at sorcery. This wizards, why? Make this cost 1 dub white black. Get rid of the sack. Seriously, I think the idea is supposed to be that the Valkyries are the ones that mostly have this, like, exile a creature from your graveyard or something. This ain't it, Chief. In fact, wait. That. Why isn't it that? Why do I have to hurt my board? Like, but Justin, you're like helping the rest of the mechanics. If the rest of the mechanics are this bad, I need to exit that. If the rest of the mechanics are this bad, I don't want to help that mechanic. I want a card that is good by itself. This is not. Why does this just use the mechanic? Why isn't this sacrifice this and exile a creature from your graveyard? I mean, I would still dislike it because of the fact that you have to jump through a hoop, but at the very least, I don't have to hurt my board to help my board. I hate this card. I hate it. Hate. Valor of the Worthy is a 1-mana enchantment. Enchant creature gets +1/+1. When enchanted creature leaves the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spear creature token. Fine. It's fine. I mean, essentially, you're getting a weaker version of like Doom Traveler. That style effect. It's fine. It's technically weaker, but like you still have access to value in the forms of things that care about you casting enchantments or auras specifically. So yeah, it's fine. Earl Konig. King Narfi's Betrayal. Narf. That's all I can think of. King Narfi's Betrayal. It's a 3-mana Dimir saga. First chapter, each player mills 4 cards. You may exile up to 1 creature or planeswalker card from each graveyard. That's up to 1. It doesn't target, so that's cool. You may exile up to 1 creature or planeswalker card from each graveyard. 2 and 3. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among cards exiled with King Narfi's Betrayal, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. So the idea here, that you play this card with things to exile. You exile 1 thing from your opponent's yard, 1 thing from your yard. On the second chapter, you cast 1 of those 2 things. On the third chapter, you cast the other. Very self-contained. This is rare? Each player does mill 4. Still, Challenge Streaming cast cards. It might be fine. Exiled with King Narfi's Betrayal. It might be fine. I'm not high on it though. Family Get. I have no idea what this is. Family Get Together. I was Portuguese again. 6 mana, black sorcery. Choose a creature type. Return up to 2 creature cards of the chosen type from your graveyard to the battlefield. If this spell was foretold, return all creature cards of the chosen type from your graveyard to the battlefield instead. Foretell of 7. Return up to 2 creature cards of the chosen type. I mean, we've seen cards similar to this, like Ever After, except I feel like Ever After wasn't a rare, was it? Oh, it was. Turn up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Each of those creatures is black. Then you put this on the bottom. Turn up to 2 target. This doesn't target. Yeah, so what card the creature Duckheld Tipo. That's like of a certain type, or of that type. From your graveyard to the battlefield. I don't believe. Yeah, I assume this is Ate. I assume that's up to 2. So my assumption, like based on what I can kind of understand here, is that it is correct. This translation is correct. It doesn't target, so that's good. You know, that is good. But the restriction of your graveyard does kind of suck. And then like just 6 mana to reanimate. I mean, I guess 5 mana reanimating 1. But the reason that card is played is because you can cast it from your graveyard for 4 mana. And the Foretell being 7 means you have to pay it. The thing is, like, the Foretell being 7 means you have to pay a total of 9. And at that point, just, like, play Rise of the Dark Realms. Like, it's 9 mana, and you get all creatures from all graveyards. Like, I guess technically getting to 9 mana in one shot is harder than getting to 7 mana in one shot, because it's just 9 cumulative. But then you get your opponent's creatures too. Like, I can understand why this is mythic. I just don't think it's good enough. Yeah. Runeforge Champions, a 3-mana 2/3 dwarf warrior in white. When Runeforge Champion enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a rune card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. You may pay 1 generic, rather than pay the mana cost for rune spells you cast. So there's a card that likes runes. Well, we've only seen 1 rune, except Psych. I'll show you a couple runes in a second. Enter the battlefield, you search a rune. I don't see this card being good. Rune of Might, 2 mana enchant permanent. Enters battlefield, draw a card. I believe I was correct. They all draw a card, and then what was the? I don't remember the blue rune. Rune of Flight. Okay, it didn't. I wasn't sure if all of the runes gave a +1/+1, but as I predicted, essentially it's just the bonus. You just get some sort of bonus. The green bonus, you get trample and +1/+1. Cool. The black bonus, you get Death Touch. The red bonus, I was incorrect. I thought it would be First Strike. Instead, you get +1/+0 in Haste. Haste is much worse than First Strike, generally speaking, because of the fact that Haste does not care, like, doesn't care anymore after the first turn it's summoned. I was very surprised when I read this and saw +1/+0. Obviously First Strike, right? Obviously. Haste. And then the white one is not Vigilance, like I predicted. It's Lifelink. Were all these runes done by Young? They were all done by Young. Cool. The thing is, like, I can't even say, like, oh, it's a limited thing, because, like, this is a rare, and these are uncommons. I mean, they all draw a card, so, like, maybe the white and green one... Oops, the white and green one can be put in a Setessan Champion style deck. Maybe in that deck you play this. I doubt it. Maybe you splash for one of the other ones. Frankly, the only... Like, these are both not good enough to splash for. The blue one's good enough to splash for, I guess. So maybe you play some sort of weird enchantment things. That's a slower... I don't know, dude. Draugr Recruiter is a 4-mana, 3/3 zombie cleric with Boast 4. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This is a Gravedigger. It's actually bigger than Gravedigger. Gravedigger, I think, is a 2/2. That can attack, cast Gravedigger, essentially. Or I should say cast Gravedig to get a creature. And the fact that it's a 3/3 makes sense, because you have to use the ability in order to get the returning. Whereas Gravedigger, you just get the ability. I think those style of effects are pretty decent and limited. And sure, this has to attack, but, like, it's also just, like, it's a hill giant. No. Yes. It's a hill giant. Yeah. Yo, dude, this card is sick. Icebreaker Kraken. I love it. I kind of wish it was Merit Lodge. Is a 12 mana, 8/8 snow creature Kraken. This spell costs 1 generic less to cast for each snow land you control. When Icebreaker Kraken enters the battlefield, artifacts and creatures target's opponent, sadly, controls don't untap during that player's next untap step. Return 3 snow lands you control to their owner's hand. Return Icebreaker Kraken to its owner's hand. So you can get the effect again. So if you have 5 snow lands, this costs 7. So if you have 6 snow lands, this costs 6. You could potentially have a 6 mana 8/8. I don't know if the snow decks are going to want this. Frankly, I doubt it. It's just a cool card. This is a really interesting cool card. Mists of Lit Yara is a 2 mana enchantment aura with flash. Enchant creature or vehicle. Enchanted creature gets -3/-0. We've seen effects like this before in Limited. This doesn't draw. Keter. I don't know what Kite means. Le Royal. I don't know. Adios Wormhole. 2 mana instant. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hands. Foretell 1. Target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. It's like Unsummon, except Unsummon only hits creatures. So I guess more accurately, this is like Blink of an Eye. But you can't kick it. You can foretell it, though. I mean, yeah, sure. Misty Stepper is a 3 mana 1/4 blue shapeshifter with changeling and flying. And pay 1 in a blue. Misty Stepper gets +1/-1 until end of turn. I've never liked these effects. I've never liked the plus blank, minus blank, minus blank, plus blank. It hurts my brain. I don't feel like going with this. Vengeful Reaper. Fantastic art, dude. The art of the set is sick. 4 mana, 2/3, Angel Cleric with flying, death touch, and haste. And foretell 2. Flying, death touch, and haste. I don't think it's good enough to be played like anywhere besides Limited, but god dang, I like that card though. 2/3 with flying, death touch, and haste. My kind of thing. Bind the Monster is a single blue mana enchantment aura. Enchanted creature. When bind the monster enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. It deals damage to you equal to its power. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its control's untap step. I think this card makes sense for blue. This is a blue removal spell that blues should have. That's all I'm going to say about that. I guess about the card. How dare you touch Sarulf? Struggle for Skemfar is a 4 mana sorcery with foretell a single green. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, then that creature fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. I mean, this just seems decent, right? Also, oh, it's a story spotlight. Okay, I was gonna be like, weren't they friends? Like, the king talks about Skemfar, or talks about Planeswalker boy. I forgot his name already. For something. Tivar, maybe. I mean, we've seen essentially like this effect. 3 mana. I don't think it's Hunt the Weak. I think Hunt the Weak is a 3 mana one. There's a 4 mana one. I'm pretty sure that does essentially the same thing, but this has foretell, so Elven Bow. I do not know what happened here. Is a single green artifact equipment for with equip 3, and equipped creature gets +2 or +1/+2 and has reach. When Elven Bow enters the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token, then attach Elven Bow to it. So essentially, you could pay 3 mana for a 2/3 with reach. Yeah, no, I mean that's actually not bad. 3 mana, 2/3 with reach. It's not great. Like, this is not going to see play in standard or anything like that. But it doesn't seem bad. This seems like one of the better of these, right? Huh? I think so. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, that's it for this batch. How longer we have spoilers? But if you have a deck list of a standard or historic deck that relies heavily on new cards, please let me know. You can paste it in the... Don't paste the deck list. Paste a link to the deck list in the comment section, preferably using AetherHub. That's what I like to use. And I would also like to point out the P.O. Box. Feel free to send me nonsense, and I'll open it on camera. I would also like to thank my lovely patrons, especially Fogwin, Malik, and Balater, for the continued support. If you'd like to join them and support the show, you'll find links in the description below. Do, of course, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, all be one.